Bitcoin breaking out and setting a new all-time high. Pump Fun raises $600 million in 12 minutes and is an NFT bull run brewing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Crypto Gorilla video. As usual, I'm not a financial advisor. Hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it. So things are looking incredibly bullish for the market as over the weekend, Bitcoin set a new all-time high of $119,000 per token. But the funny thing is, if you look on Google Trends, both Bitcoin and crypto, while there is a slight uptick in the interest in Bitcoin, most people still don't care. We are nowhere near where we go in terms of search results when Bitcoin breaks out or at previous all-time highs. And when I talk to non-crypto people, they either think Bitcoin is completely dead and they really have no idea the price. They do not know it's anywhere near $100,000. So this is funny to see that all this is happening in our little bubble, but nobody else knows that any of this is happening. Now, while all this is great, we can get some corrections, so let's not get overhyped here, but some amazing price action over the weekend. We have hyperliquid so close to hitting $50, which this is a new all-time high here of roughly $49 per token. But there were two narratives that were the real winners here. One was meme coins with tokens like Pengu as well as Mog up 90% over the last 7 days. And then the other narrative are the legacy tokens, right? What we call the dinosaur tokens. We have Stellar up over 90%, and then HBAR and Algorand up roughly 50% per token. Now, if you remember what happened last time when the masses started coming into the market a little bit, it was the legacy tokens that pumped, right? The XRPs, the Cardanos, things that crypto Twitter makes fun of and doesn't care of. So it's going to be really interesting to see if there's a repeat and they don't come in and buy our tokens, they come in and buy their own bags from last cycle. Now, the market pump is timed perfectly for the Pump Fun token presale, as over the weekend they sold out $600 million in 12 minutes. Extremely impressive, especially after they already sold in a private round $720 million, bringing the total raise to over $1.3 billion liquid that, you know, they could, yes, use to build their company. They can also just go buy a yacht and a bunch of supercars. There's no contracts here. There's no equity involved. They just made a token out of thin air. Now, I do think the speed of the sale shocked a lot of people. This thing was moving very fast, and my timeline was incredibly bearish on the pump token. Now, I did enter the pre-sale on multiple places, which we're going to talk about in a second. And I had mentioned I was going to enter it in my video on Friday, as well as a couple of tweets, but really seeing how fast it was selling out, that's what made me double down on my position. But in terms of what happens next, currently we're in a 48 to 72 hour period where they are airdropping everyone the tokens. The tokens are not tradable, not transferable, so don't get rugged. Yes, they did put out a contract address, but you cannot trade it. And be careful that nobody's spoofing this right now, or there's ways to do it. I don't know how it works. But what I'm doing is I'm just waiting for Pump Fun to make an official announcement that the token is live and trading. So the earliest this can technically happen is Monday morning by the time you're watching this video. So I don't know how it's performed. Hopefully it's over 4 billion FDV. And then the latest it can drop, I believe, is Tuesday morning. Now, perps were live this whole time on hyperliquid, which you could have made a lot of money if you were just longing and shorting here. I was looking at it yesterday at 7 billion as a short play. But a lot of people during the sale were looking at this price because it was floating around 6 billion. So they were using this to gauge if it's worth entering into the sale for. And people were bearish on 6 billion because it's only a 1.5x. I'll never understand that. Like, I think people have warped their perception of making money because they're so used to putting $100 in a meme coin and trying to 100x it and hit a 10K play. But I viewed this as a play where I could size in, and if I hit a 1.5x, amazing. If I put in 10 grand into this, 1.5x is $5,000. So I was looking at this very differently from some random meme coin presale. Now, if you did enter on an exchange, on a centralized exchange, there were some bugs here. Unfortunately, if you went in on Bybit, there's a chance you did get refunded because it was oversubscribed and they told you it was successful, and then later on they refunded you. So a lot of people upset about this. They're giving out like a $20 voucher, but I don't think anybody's going to care about that if on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it launches, it's at 8 billion and you could have made 10, 20, 100 grand. So personally, what I did is I split up my bets. I put a little bit on pumpfun directly, and then I put some in another centralized exchange, which luckily it does seem like it's worked, at least for now. Now, as for the pumpfun token airdrop, after my last video, people were asking me where I got that info from. It's right here, their announcement tweet. They say airdrop coming soon. However, we still have no information on the size of the airdrop as well as any dates. I did see this tweet by Easy where, I don't know if this is a troll, I really hope it is, but he's showing a page where it says the maximum amount of tokens you can get airdropped is $2,000, and he links the source as Mexi, but when you go to the page, it's a broken page. So hopefully this isn't a case similar to before the sale announcement where Gate had leaked that page showing the sale dates and amounts and everything, because $2,000 per person as a maximum would be incredibly disappointing. Like he says in this tweet, everybody's expecting to get a hyperliquid style stimmy, which hyperliquid, some people got 7 figures airdropped. Next up, we have a nice little stimmy coming in this week via Blackhole, which is a DEX by Alex Becker and EllioTrades dropping on Avalanche. Mainnet did go live on July 11th, and personally, I still haven't put any money yet into mainnet, so I'm going to make sure I do that before the token goes live in case I get additional rewards. Originally, the airdrop and TGE were supposed to happen on the 16th. However, we got this tweet by Elio saying it's going to go live on July 15th in the evening. Now, I don't yet see an airdrop checker on the website, which is supposed to drop before the airdrop goes live. So you're going to be able to see what your allocation is going to be. However, what we do know is that a ton of communities are going to be getting an allocation. So if you hold any of this stuff, definitely worth checking it out because it's literal free money. However, I have no idea how this thing's going to perform. On one hand, Alex Becker and EllioTrades have a ton of brand power, and Superverse, which is also backing this token and DEX, is at 800 mil FDV. But on the other hand, pumpfun is also launching this week, and that is the main character of the week. So it's going to be very interesting to see where the attention goes, especially since only a pocket of people invested into pump versus potentially a lot of people getting exposure to an airdrop for Blackhole. Jumping into the pre-sale market, CreatorBid has finally launched a page for their first agent. It is not live yet, so you can't invest yet. It was just the voting period where it needed a certain number of votes in order to be able to go to that pre-sale stage, which, as you can see, it has crossed it by a lot. So the pre-sale launch should be imminent. I was getting a little bit worried because it was taking them a while. It was originally supposed to launch before July. I believe the second week of July, the token was supposed to be launched. At least we have it now. But with this delay, we did see a crash in the price from 160 million all the way to 100 million, which if you got in the same time as me, when I originally made my video, we got in at roughly 60 million FDV. So we're still up 2x at current prices. However, I'm staked. So even if I want to sell, I can't. I have to wait that 14-day period, but I can't stand delays. It is so annoying, especially when it affects the prices of your tokens, and not only the bid token, the agents that I bought and partially staked in order to get in to these launches. So thankfully, they are finally moving forward. And to be honest, this first agent has to cook. So I plan on aping, because if they want the platform to be successful and they want more and more people to flock to it, they want more volume on all of their ecosystem agents, they need this to do well. Now, as for the other well-known platform, that is of course Virtual's protocol. I did recently get asked about this, if it's dead, if anybody's still doing it. Personally, I haven't done it in a minute. I'm accumulating points for free, so I am not staking any more agents. I am not doing the whole trading volume. I am purely getting points by yapping as well as by the Virtual's tokens that I've staked for 2 years. Now, I am going to have to enter stuff because some of my points are expiring, and to be honest, I haven't done any research on these sales, but I quickly clicked through some of them, and a lot of them are either at break even, but a lot of them are like 3, 4, 5x's. So you're still able to 5x your money, which is amazing. So I definitely do need to pay attention here, especially that I have like 80,000 points. So this one's oversubscribed. Maybe I'll just ape it, or I'll look into like 5 of the upcoming launches and decide if I want to ape one of those. But the platform is definitely not dead. It's just in a lull of attention compared to a few weeks ago when everybody everybody was following this like crazy. But if we look at the token, it's still performing really well. Yes, there was a dip, but we are currently at 1.7 billion FDV. And, hopefully the market moves in waves, right? At one point you got a lot of attention and then attention goes down. So it's natural that this stuff happens. And hopefully they manage to capture another wave of attention because this ecosystem was so easy to cook in. Next up, we finally have a countdown for prjtx on hyperliquid, which is by Lambo and Bobby, who previously had a success with PackMoon on Blast. So while I don't know anything about this project, I'll definitely be ready today by the time you watch this video at 10 a.m. Eastern. And what we have here by Lambo is he says, hey, get funds on hyperevm and then turn on notifications. So if you don't know how to get your money onto hyperevm or you don't know how to trade on hyperevm, I have a full video tutorial, which I will link in the description down below. Jumping into the NFT market, we had a beautiful pump on Pudgy Penguins over the weekend. And the funny thing is, I was shopping this in my VC in my server at literally the bottom at 9.35 ETH. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger, and I wake up, they're already at 11. And then they took a little dip and I just bought here. So thankfully I did buy one, but they are doing super well, currently at 13.5 ETH. So I'm not sure if there was any leaks, right? The last time they pumped like crazy was because there was a little bit of leaks about the Pengu token. Then they announced Pengu and they went from 14 all the way to 36. So I'm not sure if this has to do with Abstract, or I did hear rumors of some sort of big partnership announcement, but I also think it has to do with the overall market. ETH is finally starting to see some attention, and a lot of people are expecting the altcoin season to finally be here, which means people are also going to look for different plays where they could put their money, and NFTs is a great place to do that. Now, looking at the rest of the market outside of Pudgy's, nothing has really pumped like crazy, so there haven't been any code plays yet, but I do think they are going to come, especially if Pudgy's keep running here and they go to 16 or higher. People are going to feel like they missed out and they're going to start chasing down the barrel here. So if I had to put money into anything, personally, I don't know how apes are going to do. There was like let's call it a scam pump when Pudgy's pumped. Apes pumped out of nowhere. I think it was like a battle of the floors, but now Pudgy's have left them a little bit in the dust. But I do imagine apes continue to slowly grind up. So apes and mutants is definitely something that interests me. I'd also be looking into Azuki, even though they already have their token out. I think Azuki is just an amazing brand. They have a great community. They're doing a lot of stuff with their anime, with their card game, and there's just something about it. There's this allure about Azuki that I just always want one. So I do think Azuki is also a play. Personally, I'm not interested in like doodles. I don't know why. I do see they're up 8% on the day and there are sweeps going on. However, I don't know what happened recently with the token and just holding them for so long and it being so disappointing. Personally, I'm not interested, but maybe I'll work on a video about this or like a thread on which collections I think are worth buying into. I mean, I'd expect Milady's to get a pump as well eventually. As for mints happening this week, there isn't too much going on. I think most of the attention is going to be around tokens with the pump launch as well as the Blackhole launch. There are some free mints like Hoof that is minting today, as well as Mega Carrots on the weekend. And then as for brand new mints, not too much has popped up on my radar outside of the ones I mentioned in my last two videos. My attention is still very much on ETH mainnet, hyperliquid mints, and then megaeth mints. In terms of megaeth, I did see this new one that popped up called Megabit by Puffles. So something I need to look into. And then what I've been doing is I've been browsing the OpenSea Launchpad because there's random mints that pop up here that do well. The other day, Pepe Mons, I didn't even know what this one was, but it did really well. These minted for, let's go see the price, 0.015. And yes, they're down bad now, but if you look at this chart, they went almost to 0.1. So you could definitely find some gems there. I do the same thing on Hyperliquid with their launchpad. We've had some good ones in the past. I believe it was called Spazios. It was like a Milady's mixed with Mario and like Nintendo stuff that did really well. So there's always gem plays that you could find. And in general, Hyperliquid has been doing well, especially with the upcoming airdrop, which is only speculated to be in November. So don't get too excited when I say upcoming airdrop, but the ecosystem, right, plays on Hyperliquid are still doing really well. We recently had Bald Brothers that did really well. These went all the way to 5 hype. So as for upcoming projects, one that is getting my attention because it's on Hyperliquid. It's also a free mint, is going to be this one, LSD888. So again, free mint, no risk. Now there's also the Camp network or Camp chain that has caught my attention. The trailheads did really well here, currently sitting at 0.2, and they are going to do another round of their NFTs. So in phase 2, there's going to be 1,000 more NFTs, and these minted for 0.01. So it's almost a 20x. And, you know, like I said, there's 1,000 more. So they're going to be doubling down on their supply. So definitely something I'm going to be researching more. And they also have this questing campaign that I noticed on their website. So also going to look into this. Maybe I'll make a video about the whole quest system, because Camp Network is definitely interesting. They have some really strong partners. So I haven't seen this before. I saw the mint, but I haven't done the deep dive yet. But if you have some time and you want to do it on your own, I'll link everything in the description down below. With that being said, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and appreciate all my research. If you did, if you can hit that thumbs up, it's going to help my channel a lot. If you haven't already done so, would you kindly hit that subscribe button? We are so close to 70,000, and I want to hit 100K before the end of the cycle. So if you could do that, it would help me out a lot. Hit that notification bell while you're down there. Thank you for watching another Crypto Gorilla video. Peace.